On a Friday in March 2013, the police was called to a train accident in Kumla, Sweden, after a 13-year-old girl had died under the train. Pretty early on in the case, it was clear to the police that it was a suicide, and the police could not figure out why such a young girl would jump in front of the train. But when her family checked the girl's computer, a whole new world opened up. A world that had pushed the 13-year-old girl to end her own life. This is the case of Linn Nyman from Kumla. So hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Elin, and on this channel I cover true crime cases that have occurred in the Nordic countries. Some content warnings before we start this video. This case will include talks about suicide and self-harm, so if that's something that you don't want to watch, then I suggest you click out of this video right now. This case will also include talks about bullying, especially over the internet. With that being said, now let's get into the case that happened in Sweden. So Linn Nyman was a 13-year-old girl living in a city called Kumla in Sweden. She was an ordinary, happy and bubbly girl who liked playing handball. Linn was named Linn after it was the only name that both her parents liked and could agree on. Linn was unfortunately described having a hard time in school as she was bullied and had been struggling with herself a lot. She had actually for a while been in contact with the child psychiatry as she had been self-harming and overall feeling depressed. Susanne, who is Linn's mother, has stated in a Swedish podcast episode about the case that in the beginning of the year 2013 they traveled to the Canary Islands, and this had been a successful trip as Linn seemed happy during it and she actually had her best friend there with her. Linn also had a YouTube channel that she was active on only a few months before she died. On her YouTube channel, she was talking about regular life, such as school and friendships. But in one clip, she was talking about mean comments that she had gotten about her looks. People had unfortunately been commenting negative things about her looks, that she was fat, ugly, and disturbed. And these comments were not only about Linn, they had also been about her parents. One comment in particular said, and I quote, "So ugly, take your own life," and she had deleted this straight away when she saw it. And the fact that she was bullied online for her looks was something that became kind of a regular thing for Linn. And even if Linn used the internet a lot, her mother was not really aware of what was going on or what Linn was doing on the internet. Her mom has stated that she wanted to respect Linn's privacy and she just focused on being there for Linn whenever Linn needed support. And Linn usually talked to her mother about everything, but in the beginning of March, something happened that she did not tell her mother. As I said, she had been going through a hard time in school and had been self-harming, so she was seeing a counselor in her school. The counselor in school ended up calling Linn's mother as she had gotten information about the fact that Linn had showed herself naked in front of a guy on the internet. After this, Linn had gotten threats from this guy that he would spread the pictures of her, and many of her friends started worrying. When the counselor talked to Linn about this, she denied everything and said that she had no idea what the counselor was talking about. Linn's teacher also ended up calling Linn's mother after some of Linn's friends had been concerned for her well-being. So Linn's mother got a bit worried, but she also did not know what to do. In the beginning of March, Linn was basically her normal self, and their last night together, Linn asked her mom for a hug just like she sometimes did. Her mom drove her to her handball practice and then decided to check her Facebook page. On Linn's Facebook page, she found horrible things, even from people that she thought was Linn's friends, for example, comments that she was disgusting and ugly. Linn's mom realized that Linn was bullied online and that the people tried to make her feel bad about herself. Linn's mom, of course, felt super guilty, and Linn ended up finding out that her mother had hacked her Facebook page. So her mom wanted to talk to her that same evening, but Linn did not want to talk and was already sleeping when her mom went into her room. So Linn's mom suggested that they would talk about it the next day, and Linn just answered, The next day, on Friday, her mom realized that Linn was upset, but she still did not want to talk, and Linn just went to school as usual. Linn only spent her first class in school and then ended up never showing up to her swimming class. The school called Linn's mother while Linn's mother was actually driving home after trying to reach Linn. She thought that Linn was at home, but she just did not pick up her phone. On her way home, she got a phone call from Linn's father, who told her that there had been a train accident in Kumla, and Susanne got angry at him, asking him, "Why are you telling me that?" He answered that he did not know why, but he just had an urge to call and inform her. So Linn's mom then got a super strange feeling and saw a police car driving in front of her, and for some reason she started following this police car. The police car stopped next to the train accident, and Susanne just kept on driving as she saw something in the front. When she came a little bit closer, she saw that it was a body bag on the ground and people standing all around it. So she stopped the car and started running towards them, and people actually had to stop her, and she just screamed out, "Is it Linn?" Unfortunately, Susanne's motherly instinct had been right. On Friday, the 8th of March 2013, Linn died after jumping in front of the train, leaving the whole community in shock. So Linn's death actually started huge discussions about cyberbullying, and it was soon clear that Linn had also been threatened and pressured online. A few days before Linn's death, she had told her internet friends that she had showed her body naked in front of a boy on the internet and that she felt threatened by him. The day after Linn's suicide, her 15-year-old brother was sitting on her computer when he found another Facebook page owned by Linn, and this opened up a whole new world for the family. Her brother started checking the pages that she had used over the internet, and he found a chat that would give clarity into what actually happened to Linn. Linn had been communicating with a boy over the internet, and they had actually been communicating only a week before her death. The boy described himself as a 15-year-old boy living in Sweden, and from the chat it was clear that he had psychological control over Linn. He had started with the classic manipulation tactic, giving her compliments, being nice, and writing a lot of smileys. He kept on sending these flattering messages filled with compliments about how cute she is, and remember, this is a girl who had been bullied online for her looks, so this was probably super nice for her to get all these compliments from a boy. He then asked her to turn on her webcam and pose for him, and she fell for this and ended up doing it. After Linn declined showing herself on the web camera once again, he started threatening her that he would show her nude photos to trainers and her teachers. By the way that she answered him, it was clear that she was super scared, and she even asked him, "Do you want me to kill myself?" And like I said, the chat had only been ongoing for a few days, and it's just crazy how fast he managed to manipulate her. So Linn's brother told his mother about what he had found on the internet, and she contacted the police. At first, the police thought that it was a young boy, maybe a teenager, who had committed these acts. This was because his profile picture was of a teenage boy, and he also said in the conversation that he was 15. But soon the police started realizing that this was not a teenage boy, and it was actually a 44-year-old man called Joachim. The threats that Linn had been getting from him would actually turn out to be a crucial part of the case. It turned out that there was another girl in another part of Sweden that had also been talking to this man, and she had been in a similar situation. This was a 14-year-old girl, and she had reported his account to another police district in Sweden in the end of January. On top of that, there had been a girl in a similar situation who had made a police report about another account that had a lot of similarities with this case. So all in all, there were 3 victims, and these were all cases of him threatening to spread pictures of them naked. The police eventually found his IP address and started following him, and he was soon arrested. In the questioning, the police told him about his IP address and the chats that they had found. He told them that he did not remember what he had done on the day of Linn's death, and he also claimed that his computer had been stolen soon before he was arrested. So all in all, he claimed that he was innocent, but the police knew that they had their man. I mean, it was pretty clear. So they decided to go out in the media with his usernames online to hopefully get more information and victims. In the end of March, there were 23 police reports against him as many other girls came forward. The only problem was that they did not have a confession and they also did not have his computer, as he claimed that it had been stolen. He did not have any explanation to why he did not contact the police about his stolen computer, and the police kinda knew that he was lying. So as I said, this man was called Joachim, and he was described by his friends as a warm, caring and nice person. Many people were surprised that he was arrested, as he seemed like a good and polite person, even though he could sometimes get aggressive. He was also described as calm and socially talented, and he happened to have a daughter the same age as Linn. Something super disturbing about him is that he used to be a trainer for a girl football team. On Facebook, he had started a group called Us Who Have Had Enough of Men Who Treat Women Badly, and I have translated these things from Swedish. He wrote in the forum on the day that Linn died, "Men think that they have the right to treat women however they please, and you could ask yourself how these men would react if it was their own mother or daughter." So he really had this facade to the outside world that he was a good man who stands up for women and care about their rights. At the same time, he was literally grooming girls on the internet to send him nude photos. He did not really have any type of girls, he just kinda wrote to anyone and the conversations would move pretty quickly. On the 2nd of April, 2 children were out trying to find their cat in a living area in Sweden when they saw something that caught their attention. They found a computer wrapped in a towel, and of course this ended up with the police, and it turned out to be Joachim's computer. In the computer, a lot of searches for teenage porn had been made, and also searches about the victims to know information about where they lived and what school they went to. He had also deleted chat services like Skype and MSN. The police could somehow access deleted chats with girls who had reported him and also girls who had not reported him. In questioning, his story now changed a bit, and first he said that he was in debt, so he was scared that his computer would be taken away from him. But the police of course checked this up, and this turned out to be false, so he then ended up changing his story once again. He now said that someone had hacked his computer and made all the searches for him, and this hacker just happened to have the exact same way of spelling as he had. One girl was really interesting in the police's eyes, as she had ended up meeting him in real life. She was only 14 when they met around 15 times, and they actually had sex. In Sweden, the age of consent is 15, so anything below that age is considered a child and therefore rape since he was over 15. But this whole thing was embarrassing for her, and she did not want to report or talk to the police, but she eventually told them the truth. According to her, his preference was violent sex and sometimes including urine. They had also sent each other pictures of their genitals, and he threatened to spread her pictures if she did not do as he wished. Joachim did confess to having sex with her, but said that she was already 15. So Joachim was charged on 25 different accounts, including 15 rapes of children. He could not be charged with causing Linn's death, as it was legally impossible, even if he was seen as having a big part in her death. In the end, he was sentenced, and I think this is one of the most disturbing sentences that I have ever heard of. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison, which is literally nothing. Linn's mother thinks that this was a mockery, and the rape charges ended up being dropped even if the girl witnessed in court that she was under 15 at the time that they met up. The court said that there was not enough evidence behind it, as he claimed that she was over 15 at the time. But I just feel like, is there no way to check what age she was during the time that they had the conversations? I just feel like it would be possible to prove somehow how old she actually was. Anyway, he was only convicted of the sexual assault of a child and the exploitation of a child, which is why the sentence was so short. They also failed to prove that nobody hacked his computer and made all of the searches, even if this is highly unlikely. He ended up appealing the sentence, and after the appeal he actually got a higher sentence. He was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison. Joachim still claimed that he was innocent, and he was released in 2015 after serving 2/3 of his sentence. He was, of course, unhappy with how this case was handled, and he applied for it to be reviewed in the Supreme Court, but he was denied this, so that's at least good. Linn's mother, Susanne, is today working with children, making them aware of grooming and other dangers online. So she has now dedicated her life to prevent the same thing from happening again. It makes me happy that at least something good came out of this horrible story, but at the same time I feel like it's crazy that this man is just out living a normal life today. I feel like it's pretty clear that he was the reason, or at least one of the reasons, to why Linn decided to commit suicide, and it's so sad that he legally could not be sentenced for anything. But that's all that I have for this case. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that I will see you in my next case. Goodbye everyone.